Yay, some people said good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yay. Well, it's great to see so many faces here today. I've done this for, I think, 10, 11 years, and every year it gets bigger and bigger. So we're going to start by giving yourselves a round of applause for being here this morning. Thank you. I'm Bob Hoffman. I am the MC today, and I couldn't be more excited to kick off this annual Davies Project Breakfast. And enjoy breakfast as we talk about that. It's okay to keep eating, but we're going to go ahead and start the program right away. It's my pleasure to introduce somebody who truly is a driving force behind our mission. Ariana Ryderbush, the board president of the Davies Project and a valued member as vice president of community impact of MSU FCU. Please join me in giving her a warm welcome.
Good morning. See, Bob, you got him warmed up. On behalf of MSUFCU, welcome to our headquarters campus. At the credit union, we embrace our role as a community leader, and we support many charitable initiatives. And the Davies Project is an organization that we're proud to call our partner. And as board chair, on behalf of the Davies Project Board of Directors, I am filled with a profound gratitude and admiration for the incredible work accomplished by our dedicated team and volunteers. Together, we have continued to uphold our mission of connecting families to essential health care. I'd like to ask everyone to personally reflect on the last healthcare visit you had, whether for yourself or for a loved one. And now think about how you got there. And now consider if you didn't have that mode of transportation. By alleviating the burden of finding transportation, we enable our families to focus on what matters most, the health and well-being of their loved ones. Thank you to our volunteer drivers who are the heart and soul of our organization. Whether it's a ride to a medical appointment or a comforting presence during a difficult time, our volunteers exemplify the true spirit of community and generosity. On behalf of the board, I extend my deepest appreciation to our volunteers, staff, donors, and partners for your unwavering commitment to the Davies Project. Your generosity and support make our organization possible, and for that, we are profoundly grateful.
Thank you, Ariana. So I'm a longtime supporter of the Davies Project because I've seen the real difference it makes in the lives of so many local families. Being involved from the start has shown me how vital transportation is for seriously ill children and pregnant women. And then there's Pam. Pam is the founder and executive director and an amazing person who I call not only a friend, but a hero and a mentor. And to that, the Davies Project team. The team is incredible, who genuinely care for the families that they serve. But honestly, how could I not be part of such a great organization and the impact, the incredible impact that they're making every single day in the lives of so many families? And that's what's so incredible about the Davies Project. Can you believe that the Davies Project has provided an astonishing, get this, 3,105 rides through September of this year, covering around 54,000 miles. That's huge. And that wouldn't be possible without our volunteer drivers. So thank you to the volunteer drivers, who many of them are here this morning. Let's give them a round of applause. We're excited to highlight the achievements of so many this morning at this Driving Change Breakfast. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our breakfast sponsors, AF Group, Dean Transportation, MSU FCU, and the University of Michigan Health Sparrow. Your support absolutely means the world of difference. And we're especially grateful to the associates from these organizations whose generosity is making a real difference in our community. So let's give all of them a round of applause as well. We're gathered here today to make a real difference for our local families with seriously ill children. You might be surprised to hear that 70% of kids using Lansing area specialty clinics are on Medicaid, and many of them miss over 60% of their medical appointments. Transportation is the major hurdle. But that's where the Davies Project comes in. With your support, we're working relentlessly to change this narrative and ensure every child gets the care that they need. Every year, I like to mention the following because it's important to try to place yourselves in the shoes of our neighbors. For example, imagine having a seriously ill child, but having a job with no health care, or having no job at all, not owning your own home, not speaking English, not being able to read, being a single parent, or not even having a family nearby to help out. This morning, our mission is to embrace both new and familiar faces while rallying crucial financial support for the Davies Project. It has been a challenging year, and the need for funds has never been more pressing. The demand for the Davies Project and its services are skyrocketing, and we're committed to reaching as many families with seriously ill children as possible. The funds we raise today will directly help drive expectant mothers to essential prenatal care and ensure moms and their infants make it to those vital first year checkups. What does this mean? Well, this means healthier babies and moms, particularly during that critical year when complications can arise, especially among women of color. Additionally, these funds will enable parents to spend invaluable time with their infants in the newborn ICU at Sparrow Hospital. Now, this bonding is so crucial for preventing issues down the road. So, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here today, taking time out of your lives to be here to help an amazing organization to help so many families. We have the power this morning to drive and create change, and that's what we're doing. So let's begin. And I want to do that by warmly welcoming Robin Ross, Director of Development for the Davies Project, who has generously offered to share a heartfelt poem titled Guiding Lights. So this poem shines a light on the incredible volunteer drivers who ensure that safe transportation of our children, moms and parents to appointments, and to visit their hospitalized children. So remember, if these words resonate with you, we also need more volunteers to step up and help us drive to appointments. So it's a flexible and very rewarding way to make a real difference and a real change. So with that, I want to invite Robin up to read Guiding Lights.
Good morning, everyone. So, our volunteers are really truly the heartbeat of our organization. And I wanted to highlight a little bit about what they do through this poem, Guiding Lights. Through the quiet streets or rush of day, you lead the way, come what may. With steady hands and hearts so wide, you're more than drivers, you're our guide. For tiny hands that need to heal, for moms whose strength is made of steel, for families braving skies of gray, you drive, you care, you light the way. Each ride you give is more than miles. It's filled with hope, with gentle smiles. Through your kindness, burdens ease. You bring comfort, you bring peace. To those whose journey seems so long, you help them know they still belong. For every trip to NICU doors, you give them strength, you make them soar. With every child, with every ride, you stand forever by their side. In moments hard, in times of grace, you are the hope that love can trace. So here's to you with hearts so true, for all the good that you pursue. Our volunteer drivers, heroes rare, you drive with love beyond compare. Thank you.
That was great, Robin. Thank you so much. And now we want to introduce you to a video. Nothing tells a story like a video. This powerful video tells you a little bit about what the Davies Project does. So take it away, guys.
We provide free rides to children who struggle with their health and who don't have transportation at home. We want to make sure that they get to every kind of medical appointment when they need to be there. In our community, 70% of the children who rely on the specialty clinics are on Medicaid, and they traditionally miss 60% of their outpatient appointments. We have about the same number of drivers, 60 volunteer drivers who make those rides happen. And they are just the most incredible group of human beings.
It is the best place to volunteer because they pick their day, they pick the time, and they pick how often. The drivers use their own cars, and we provide boosters and car seats and training.
They get us in, they let us know ahead of time who our driver is, and with that, we book our rides and wait for our drivers to text us. They also help us with anything that we have, diaper bags, car seats, and we get in the car and we go.
Having a car is just such a big help to getting around, doing everything. And the thought of somebody who has to take a bus with kids to medical appointments just makes me upset to think about.
My hope for the future of the Davies Project is that every single family, every single child in the greater Lansing area who needs to see a healthcare provider will never miss an appointment because they do not have transportation.
It doesn't matter if the drivers change, they're literally always there, like literally always reliable. His ABA school was literally 5 minutes up the street by car. If we walked, it'd be 30 minutes, but on a bus, it's like an hour and literally 5 minutes up the street with Davies. And they would help me from there and back 3 days out the week.
We have 4 different types. NICU rides, babies in the NICU, they need to be visited as much as possible, and so we'll do 3 days a week to and from, and the mom will usually stay most of the day.
So we all know that separation from parents can be an additional stress factor for babies or children who are healing from disease.
These parents need a way of transportation to be here every day.
Parents need to know what was happening during the intensive care unit stay so that they learn about the disease, they learn about what their babies need when they are discharged home.
First couple visits were just the NICU. After that, they helped me get to all of his appointments, from his cardiology, pulmonology, urinology. He has pretty much all the doctors you can think of. Every week, every Wednesday and every Friday, we're at doctor's appointments.
We also do medical appointment rides, so once they qualify with rides to a specialist, we'll help them with any other rides that they need.
Davies Project is not only for inpatient but also outpatient. Parents can make their outpatient appointments using the transportation provided by the Davies Project. This is almost like a seamless kind of service.
I'm actually glad that they have programs like this for us because it do be hard for moms to get around a lot.
Without the Davies Project, a lot of people probably wouldn't even take their kids to the appointments. A lot of things would get missed, especially with the NICU babies. They're pretty much like they have to go to those appointments. I would almost cry without them.
We provide rides to all these medical appointments, and that's critical. It keeps parents employed. They don't have to skip work to come take a child to an appointment. The kids are in school. All these things make a difference. But we also work with the families providing some fun things for them to do.
We have done a movie night. We've done a basketball event at the Breslin Center. Spartan community is one of the biggest communities in the Lansing area. So they actually invited us over to bring our families to a tour where we were able to engage with both men's and women's basketball players.
And it was really cool for the kids to get to see everything that's happening there and meet the players and play in the practice gym.
We also put on an event for our prenatal moms with the health department, talk the sleep and safe sleep for children.
It's just events to also show them that there's a community in a community.
Oh, Max's race has been going on for a very, very long time. His parents started Max's race, I believe, the year he passed away. But as it reached the point where Max would have been in his 20s, his parents felt it was time to hand the race over to somebody else.
It's now the Max's Race for the Davies projects. And this year we did something a little bit different. We had a family fair set up.
And it was so much fun. They had like so many really neat activities for the kids there.
We've been at this for about 10 years now, delivering rides. We've given hundreds and hundreds of children, expecting women, and parents of NICU babies. We've given them thousands of rides, and it's really contributed to the well-being of the families.
So not only do they help improve morale and give hope to these families, but actually they help these families' outcomes to be much better than they would otherwise be.
I can't imagine volunteering for an organization that does more for so many people in so many ways in times that are most difficult for families. I love being a Davies driver.
I feel like they do an amazing job, and I don't know where I'd be without them.
I want every child in the state, and eventually every child in this country, to have access to this model. We do so much here at the Davies Project, but with the community's help, with your help, we can do so much more.
Thank you to Unodos Media for that great video that really describes what the Davies Project does. And now it is my pleasure to introduce you to the founder of the Davies Project, Pamela McLeodich, who 12 years ago started the Davies Project from her dining room table. This was 13 years after her own son's diagnosis with leukemia. She is an agricultural economist by training, but Pam changed careers after realizing how much additional support was needed by families caring for their own sick children. So this work is an offshoot of some of the work by Dr. Davies prior to working at Michigan State University's Children's Health Initiative. But let me introduce you to Pam to tell you more. Pam McLeodich.
Well, it's fun to watch this grow every year. My goodness, thank you for coming, everybody. Okay, 10 years. It's hard to believe we've come this far. Hundreds of people have worked tirelessly through the years to make this moment possible. I'm going to make members of our team stand up. So please stand if you're part of the Davies Project. Our dedicated staff, please. Okay. They make this agency run from day to day. Robin Ross, who read the poem, really put all the pieces together to make this morning happen. And Mary Meyer Frankenfeld is our office manager, who we couldn't get anything done without her. We have Mary Ann Lowney, who's our volunteer coordinator. Once drivers are in the pipeline, she makes sure that everything happens around them. We have Abby Moran back there, who she's our director of engagement. She makes sure that families have access to resources in town that are beyond our scope. Then we have Laura Young, who's our scheduler. So she's the one who makes all the arrangements for all of the rides, and it's a tough job. And we have Drika Cook in the back. She's our volunteer recruiter. If you'd like to drive, she's the one to talk to. And she also helps with the scheduling. It's a tight team. It's an excellent team. Very, very proud. Also, could any volunteer drivers or volunteers of any kind stand up? And we have some board members here today too. If you're on the board, would you please stand? If you're a past board member, please stand. Okay. And of course, my loving family, my husband Milan is here today, and my daughter Maria, who represents her two brothers and a sister as well. But without their unwavering support, none of this would have been possible. 600 local families, 222 expecting moms, and 37 families with babies in the NICU. That's who we've helped so far. We have driven hundreds of thousands of miles, and since January of 2022, we've had 89 volunteers who have been involved, some of them many times a week. But trust me, we need more. When the Davies Project began, I learned early on to keep my cell phone in my back pocket. That's when the agency existed solely at our home's dining room table, and I was making the first drives myself. You see, families in need were hesitant to call a live person for a ride and preferred reaching voicemail. Asking for help on behalf of a vulnerable child when the parents too are feeling vulnerable is a very hard and very courageous thing to do, something most of us cannot possibly imagine. So my phone frequently rang long after 6 p.m., oftentimes when I was making dinner for my family. You can imagine the surprise on the other end of the line when I would whip my phone out of my pocket and actually answer, "Hello, Davies Project." Parents just didn't expect it. I did my best to encourage a conversation and put the families at ease. I have to say there were frequent tears of relief during these calls, and I am still in touch with several of our early families. Today, when Laura, Drika, or Abby answer the phone, there's a sense of connection and trust, but it does take time to build. Our longtime families look forward to speaking with our schedulers and seeing our drivers. In fact, I recently heard a heartwarming story about a shy child who surprised a reserve driver with a hug. These moments of connection, the health we restore, and the hope we inspire are what truly drive us at the Davies Project. We've come a long way since the early days. While our team of 7 dedicated employees work tirelessly, the demand for services continues to soar. Think of this, in July alone, we delivered an incredible 477 rides. Our mission is to help our community's children reach their full potential. By providing essential transportation, we're not just helping families, we're investing in the future of our entire community. A healthy community starts with healthy children. As we look ahead to the next 10 years, I'm confident that the word of the Davies Project will continue to spread. To meet the growing demand, we need your support. Instead of limiting our services based on our current resources, we've had to cap the number of rides per month right now. We must expand our ability to handle more intakes and scheduling. Additionally, a strong media presence will help us recruit more volunteers. By partnering with medical and university communities, we can evaluate our program's effectiveness and secure state and federal funding to further our mission. I've searched far and wide for other organizations like ours that focus on transportation for all kinds of pediatric patients, but none have emerged. This makes the Davies Project truly unique and groundbreaking. We know our model works, and now it's time to document its impact and expand its reach to help more children. Your generous donations will help us expand our team, invest in technology,
promote our mission, support our drivers, maintain our operations, enhance accessibility, ensure safety, and evaluate our impact. If you're inspired to join our mission, please consider becoming a board member or volunteer driver. And of course, your generous donations will help us continue to make a difference. This is an investment in the future of our community's children. Thank you all for being here today. Your presence means the world to me and to the families we serve. Thank you. It's now my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Deli Davies, who I worked with here at Michigan State in the College of Human Medicine. We were part of the Children's Health Initiative with Jan Quiring. Dr. Davies was chair of pediatrics and human development in the college there. And when this, he is now, he's now acting chancellor out at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. He's doing great things in Nebraska. I was so sorry when he left the Lansing community. And there are few people I've met with so much integrity and kindness and knowledge and just every good quality you could imagine any human being having. That's Dr. Davies. And that's really, when he left this community, why I named the agency what I did, because his name exemplifies what I want this agency to be about. So Dr. Davies, would you please come?
Wow. Thank you so much, Pam. You know, how many of you love movies? I love going to movies. I love movies, right? And movies usually have heroes. And when I watch a movie, I often stay till the very end, right? And I look for the credits, right? And I know a lot of people leave right after the movie is over, but I actually look at the credits, and literally thousands and thousands of people. And I'm not kidding. Next time you go, you'll count thousands of people who are part of the credits of any movie. And when I look at some of the young kids that I see today, and I see what's happening in their lives, I see a patchwork, right? I see a patchwork of incredible people who you will never hear about, you'll never see. So you're all a patchwork of people who are part of the credits of your life, who have come along and helped you, and you may never talk about them, but you know who they are, right? You know the people who have helped you to get to where you are today. And that is what you're doing today. You are all heroes because you are credit members of the movies of the lives of every child who gets to an appointment, who is cured of cancer, who who's able to recover in the neonatal intensive care unit because you took the time to volunteer. You took the time to be a board member. You took the time to be MC. You took the time to give of your blessings, of what God has blessed you with, because nobody is who they are alone. Everybody is a patchwork of credits. And so really my message to you today is very simple. You are making a difference. You are changing lives, you're transforming lives because you've heard the stories and you'll hear more of them. Every child who misses an appointment has a greater risk of not being cured of cancer. Every child who misses an appointment has a greater risk of having the diabetes get out of control. Every child who misses an appointment loses that opportunity maybe to become a leader in this community. And you know what? I always say, show me how you take care of the kids in the community, and I'll show you the future of your community. And so you are all heroes, and you're unsung heroes because people are going to leave the movies without checking to see your name on that movie screen. But I can tell you that the heroes, the people who are the lead actors and actresses of those movies know who you are. And they will never, ever forget who you are. And they'll ever, forever be grateful to you because of the difference you're making. So I really just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for what you're doing. You truly are setting an example not just for Lansing, but for the rest of the country. You are really pioneers in what you're doing. And I can tell you, I work in Omaha right now. I have the privilege of leading an organization of almost 7,000 people. And I can tell you that we have great buildings, we have, all kinds of activities, but nothing more important than the people who work there. And each one of them is a patchwork. And whenever a patient steps onto that campus, or a student steps onto that campus, it is the people that make the difference. The buildings are nice, the activities are nice, but it's about the people, and you are truly transforming lives. So I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you, to the volunteers, thank you, to the board members, thank you, to the staff, thank you. And then, of course, to Pam. Pam has been very kind in her words to me, but I can tell you that Pam is not doing this. I've watched her. The first time I met her, she basically came and said, I had a son, and I was very fortunate because I was able to have transportation to get my son to all their appointments. I had a son who had cancer, as you all know. And but I met a lot of families who didn't, and I saw what happened to them. Peter, I was fortunate to be at Peter's wedding not that long ago, doing great, right? Because he had a cast of people, right, who he could credit. Many of you are here, my colleagues at MSU, all the pediatricians and cancer doctors who are sitting at that table, who made a big difference. Dr. Olomu, who's a neonatologist, is making a difference in lives of children who were born preterm. But really, I just want to thank you for being cast members in a movie that you may never get the recognition for, but I can guarantee you that every child whose lives were impacted will never forget what you've done for them. Like as Maya Angelou said, I may not remember what you said, but I'll never forget how you made me feel. Thank you so much.
Dr. Davies, your name is on the credit of so many people, so thank you for what you do. Absolutely. I'm pleased to now introduce you to Carolyn Solomon, who represents the impact behind what the Davies Project does. Carolyn has been a volunteer driver since 2015 and is going to share her story with us this morning. Carolyn?
Can you guys see? Before I get, I have a speech written out, but before I get to that, I just wanted to say, I am a quilter, so I really appreciated the reference of a patchwork. And how appropriate. So my name's Carolyn Solomon. I've been a volunteer driver for 9 years, and I'm glad somebody remembers the date because I don't. I know, I just don't. I remember my first drive, but I don't remember the exact date. And I came to know Pam and her husband Milan and her son Peter when he was diagnosed with leukemia because I was one of the nurses that worked in the peds hematology oncology clinic. And then over time, I came to know the rest of the family, even like when some of them were born. I got to come, I was at the hospital and just happened to pop in to say hello. Sometime during this time, Pam floated the idea of the Davies Project. And I think it was a day that she brought her famous molasses cookies to clinic. So I, of course, had to have one. She does share the recipe. They're delicious. Anyway, I remember her talking about it, and I said, well, if anybody can do it, you can. And she did. So we're all grateful that she was able to carry through with the idea because it took a lot of work. It took a lot of thought and initiative on her part. And as well as a volunteer driver, I'm also part of the training team for new volunteer drivers, where we just try to give them an overview of what it's like being a driver for the Davies Project. It really is more than just a ride. It involves getting to know people, especially if you drive people more than once. There's all kinds of little things that go on. And I've had several experiences that I just wanted to share with you. The first drive I did, the client's mom had a $5 bill pinned to her jacket. And so I just commented on it. And it was because a driver from the week before had given her a $5 bill in honor of her birthday. And she was very proud and she was very pleased that someone acknowledged her birthday because I don't think at that point in her life, it happened very often. And it really stuck with me. I mean, that's just a little small gesture that makes a huge impact on people. And she'll never forget it. And that's, the small gestures that can mean so much. Another day, I was driving a young girl and her grandma for an appointment, and I picked them up a little before 9 o'clock in the morning, and she was bringing cupcakes to clinic because it was Halloween. So when one of the clients offers you a cupcake at 9 o'clock in the morning, you eat it. Whether it was part of it may not have been part of the plan for the day, but you say thank you, and it was delicious, and you always eat the cupcake. So, another unexpected pleasure. Another unexpected thing that happened was for probably 2 years off and on, I drove the mom who talked about being a mile away from where her son went for ABA therapy. And I drove them frequently. And in that time period, which 2 years, he was able to speak 3 words clearly. When I first started driving him, there was nothing. He verbalized sounds, but no words. And it doesn't sound like much, but for this child, it was huge. And it's rewarding as a driver to know that you were a small part of helping him achieve the potential that he richly deserves. And then another unusual experience, and the next speaker can attest to this, and as her mom, I was driving, had left the clinic at Sparrow, and was driving to get onto 127, and I get on my phone, tornado warning. And it had barely started to rain. Tornado warning, I am getting ready to pull onto 127. So instead, we pulled into the Burger King, which is probably not the safest place in the world to ride out a tornado, but it sure is better than being on the highway. When we walked in, and it was getting pretty ugly in a short period of time as far as the weather, when we walked in, I said to the people that worked at the desk, I said, what is your severe weather policy and where can we go? And, I'm a nurse. I'm just like, I need to know. And I had somebody that I wanted to make sure we were all safe. I did eye the bathrooms because there was no windows there. Because the Burger King is full of windows. So you're like, oh my gosh, this is the worst place, but it's better than the highway. So they said we could come in the cooler with them if the tornado got closer. We luckily did not have to go into the cooler, but it's just another, as we got back on the highway, I said to them, another adventure in the Davies Project driving. So these are just a few of the experiences I've had. I've had many experiences driving, and if any of you are interested in becoming a volunteer driver, I would greatly encourage you to do that. We do help people, there's no doubt, but it is a really fulfilling experience as a driver. You're making a difference in the lives of kids, and like Dr. Davies said, how the children are doing predicts the future of the community, and it's up to all of us. That whole thing about it takes a village, it truly does. And any of us could be in that situation at another time in our life. You just never know what the future might bring. So I thank you, and enjoy the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Carolyn, and thank you to all the volunteer drivers. So I want to now introduce you to one of our clients. I want to bring up Carla Garcia to share her experience as a client of the Davies Project. So Carla? Okay.
Okay, sorry, I was all the way in the back. My name is Carla Elamir Garcia. I'm 15 years old. I got diagnosed with B-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia in October. I think it was the 11th or the 13th. I always get it mixed up. Because one day I got diagnosed, and then the other day I had to go into surgery. So I get the two days mixed up. I was the person who went to Burger King with her. It was pretty fun. We got to eat, So, I mean, we were together. We were laughing. Everybody was laughing. Honestly, I think like some people just got food and didn't even pay for it because everybody else was distracted about the tornado. It was fun. It wasn't fun, but it was definitely a story to tell. Um, anyways, so I had to go to the clinic like a few times a week to get chemo, and it was really intensive in the beginning, and it was difficult for my dad because the appointments, they lasted a long time. So when we had to go, my dad had to miss like an entire day of work, which like it was so often that like he wasn't making enough like money due to missing so much work. And gas is really expensive, and we live like 30 to 40 minutes away from the actual hospital. And then it was getting to be a lot. And then Ashley, one of the nurses that works at the clinic, I don't know if any of you know her, but she she told me that maybe she could contact the Davies Foundation, and she did, and they said that they would give me rides. My dad and I and my mom, we were really excited about it because it basically kind of lifted a burden off of our shoulders to have to do. Um, like prices are going up, everything's getting more expensive, it's difficult, and having so many appointments and so many new places, it gets difficult as well. Like one time we had to drive to Ann Arbor, which we live in St. John, so it's a pretty far place. It was like an hour drive. We got lost in the parking lot. Um, and then we couldn't find our car at the end of the day. Um, so we live in a small town, so going in like a big fancy place, we got lost a lot. Um, but it honestly was so helpful to have the Davies Project. And I wanted to mention, it's not, kind of like it says right up there, it's more than just a ride. Um, honestly, I formed a lot of relationships with most of the drivers. Actually, all of them. Well, not all of them. I don't know all of them, but the ones that I do know. And like me and Caroline, we talk about her cat, and then she has a cat that she walks, and I think it's adorable. Um, and I rant about all of my pets because I live in the country, so having a bunch of pets is okay. Um, I rant to them about my ducks, my cats, and my dogs, and they listen contently, and they always ask me how I'm doing, and it's like I actually enjoy going to my appointments because I'm allowed to talk to them, and I can catch up on the things that I've missed. And it's honestly like it made my experience better. Cancer's like a really hard thing, but when you have people that kind of like support you in it, it just makes it so much better. And I honestly want to thank all of the drivers and all of the doctors and all of the people here, because without the Davies Project, I don't think I would be able to get to my appointments, and I don't think that a lot of things would be possible. And I just want to thank you all so much today.
Wow, Carla, thank you so much for sharing that with us. And now I want to invite Jamie Bradley to share her experience with the Davies Project. Jamie? Jamie and her two sons, right? Yeah.
When they asked me to do this, I did not know everybody was going to be in here. I was thinking, I was thinking 10 or 20 people. All right. Good morning. My name is Jamie Bradley, and these are my two sons, Jameer and Jedediah. They are 10 and 7. They both go to school during the day, and in the evenings, they go to ABA therapy to support their development. They also go most of the summer, a couple hours during the day. My boys have been in ABA therapy for years. Jameer got diagnosed with autism when he was 2. Jedediah got diagnosed with autism when he was 3. I don't drive, so transportation plans for ABA for both boys, considering that they go to 2 different clinics, can be difficult. Um, Sometimes we would have, before I found out about Davies Project, we would have to take 2 to 3 buses, or I would pay for Ubers or Lyfts, and that's way more money than I can afford being a single parent. Um, I heard from a friend, she has a small child that has cerebral palsy and she used Davies Project all the time. And she told me to call Davies Project, and I was a little bit hesitant because I was like, I don't know if I gotta pay or if they would even accept it, because most places that I called, it was a long process or waiting process. And then I also had a caseworker that seemed like I was spending hundreds of dollars every month getting them to and from therapy and their special doctor's appointments that they would have to go to. Um, and so one day I called Davies Project, and I don't remember who I talked to on the phone, but she was so nice and it was quick, fast, and easy. And since then, we have been using Davies Project since November of 2021. And we've received over 700 rides for both boys. And I can't imagine going to all their appointments, considering that, like just for dentist appointments, they have to go to a special dentist because they have autism, and that dentist office is like 30 minutes away. So a Uber ride for that cost me close to $100. Um, We have met so many supportive drivers along the way. Many have taken a genuine interest in the boys and I. The boys have enjoyed the rides and meeting the drivers, and I have appreciated having another adult to talk to on our rides. Um, and a part of that is because I'm adopted, so it's just me and the boys, and we spend a lot of time together. So having another person to talk to, and see your story and hear your story, and not criticize you for it, but become a part of your village and a support system for you when you're so isolated. And autism is a very debilitating. They don't seem like it's hard now, but we have plenty of days where it's like I have to take them to appointments, and then calling for appointments would be really hard. But like with Davies Project, they've already set it up. It's already ready to go. I know that they're coming, and they open the doors and they're like, I just get to vent and talk. And it doesn't matter what I talk about. They don't criticize, they listen, and they're like, you need any help with anything else? So it's been an amazing support system and an amazing system for all 3 of us. Finding the Davies Project has been a blessing for my family in many ways, and we are so grateful for everything that they have done. They have really been more than just a ride for us 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie, Jamira, and Jediah. Thank you so much. And now I'm pleased to introduce Nell Quinminch, a longtime supporter of the Davies Project and a volunteer driver. So let's hear your story now.
Good morning, and thank you to each and every one of you for being here this morning. My name is Nell Kunminch, and I've been a driver as well as a contributor for several years. Believe me, I know There are so many demands and so many requests made of each of us every day. And while what I am about to say may seem like just another one of those requests, your very presence here today indicates that there is something about the Davies Project that has captivated your interest and has touched you. A number of years ago, I was in the same seat you are today. I had been contacted by a couple of good friends. They asked me to come to this breakfast, and I was very hesitant because coming to a breakfast made me feel as if I was going to be feeling pressure to sign a long-term pledge for several $1,000s over a couple of years. They assured me that was not what they were going to do, that there would be no pressure. Certainly they weren't going to deny any opportunity to ask for money, but they were not going to put any pressure on me. I trusted these women and I came. I sat, I ate, and I listened. And I gave a very small, modest contribution because I liked what I heard. Within a short time, I decided to sign up to provide some drives. Wow. For me, that was the beginning of something that has become actually an integral part of my world. My friends, both of whom I spoke to about that breakfast, had provided examples of their own driving experiences. And they emphasized, and you've heard this before, but one can't say it enough if you're thinking about being a driver, that a driver is able to choose if and when they will provide a ride to someone in need. Soon after volunteering, I was hooked. When I was young, growing up with a mass of siblings in a fairly what I considered poor household, my mother would often talk to us about what she called noblesse oblige. And we'd look at her and go, what is that? And she said, that meant that to those of us to whom much had been given, much was expected. Pardon me, from those of us to whom much had been given, much was expected. And I kind of shrugged. I was a pretty selfish kid. And I thought, well, it doesn't apply to me. I don't have soda pop in the house. I don't have candy in a dish in the living room. I don't get to go to restaurants. I don't go on family vacations. So poof, I don't have to worry about whatever this is my mother's talking about. So I went on with my life. And yet that idea stayed with me as I matured and realized how much I had been given in the way of family, friends, education, opportunity, and so much more. I began to realize what that meant, but I still put my head down, got involved in my business, raised our kids with my husband, and didn't really pay attention to what my noblesse oblige was. So then I retired. And as I retired, I realized after a while that I had a whole new world available to me. And it took me a while. Those of you who are newly retired, doesn't necessarily happen right away. But when I did start driving, I grew to love what I was doing. And I drove for about a year and then COVID hit. And you'll find this hard to believe, but I'm over 70 years old and I'm a cancer survivor. And I have 2 kids who said, Mom, you're not driving sick kids. And I said, poof. But anyway, I ended up not driving for the 2 years of COVID. However, when I felt comfortable returning to volunteer work, I sort of assessed what I had been doing and what I wanted to do. And I decided that I was going to get involved with the Davies Project, and that was where I was going to put my volunteer efforts. And I also decided that was where I was going to do a little more contributing financially. Allow me to just to share one story, and I'm going to try to be quick because I know you all need to get on to your professional lives, but I want to demonstrate what I mean. There are many happy stories, and you've heard from some of the most wonderful clients here. I want to share with you one story that really touched my heart. There are a number of us who had driven, I had first encountered this family by driving a woman and her youngster to Sparrow UMH, whatever it is now, on a Friday evening, knowing that someone would be picking her and her child up on Monday morning, and knowing this little guy really had to be ill, but didn't know the story. She did not speak English. There was some communication ultimately through Google Translate, because she was able to read a language that wasn't hers, but it was close enough that she could read it. But you could just share with people just because of your presence. That little guy ended up having to go down to U of M, Mott Children's Hospital, and have a bone marrow transplant. And for a number of months, many volunteer drivers would take mom down on Monday morning to the hospital. She would stay for the week. We would pick dad up and bring him home for the weekend because they had 2 other children at home. And that went on for many, many months. The unfortunate thing is the child took a turn for the worse and did end up passing away. And it deeply touched a number of us that there was this loss. And it was also very difficult because you developed a relationship with these people, but you were never able to speak to them. And so I had, for instance, turned on music and played music when we would be traveling to Ann Arbor and back. They did say thank you. They did say hello. They had a little bit of facility with English, but I didn't know what to do. They were from a different culture. They spoke a different language. And then I remembered I had some friends in the community I could reach out to, and they encouraged me to just sit back and understand grief is universal, and that I could go to this family. I actually ended up going to a store on South Cedar where the gentleman knew that community that these folks were part of and knew the family. He helped me pick out a few foodstuffs because there was a community that was providing meals. And I went to the home, and when mom answered the door, she clearly knew me, and I just told her I was sorry, and we embraced, and we wept together, and we spent some time. We didn't need words. And I know that there are other drivers that have been deeply touched by that family and that story. I guess I tell you that because I want you to understand that what we do as drivers feeds our heart as well as our souls. I'm really running short on time. I need to I need to stop talking about that, and I need to ask you to please consider supporting the Davies Project. You're all here. If you can do volunteer driving, we would love it. I think it was suggested you could talk to Drika, but you can go online. You can just consider it. You can learn what it takes. We would love to have more drivers. If you know people who are looking for something to do, who have the time and a vehicle, see if they would volunteer to drive. If you are able to, please support us financially. Even if it's a very modest contribution, that's all I did. If you can do a contribution, some people work a decent contribution into their monthly budgets or their bi-monthly budgets. Or if you're able to, and I'm not putting any pressure on, you can make a pledge for several years that will help us know that there is support for the future for our project. Anything you can do, talking to other people, because I talk about this all the time, but to try to get support for this project, it's so very important. It means so much to so many. And candidly, as a volunteer, yes, you volunteer your time, you volunteer your vehicle, and in most instances, you volunteer your own gas, but we need money for this incredible staff who organizes everything and supports everything. And I would just ask you, because you're here and because you are all wonderful people, to consider doing that. And I apologize. I hope you all get to work on time. Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much for being here today. Just by showing up, you're making a difference. And my hope is that you spread what the Davies Project is doing. Talk to your friends about the Davies Project. Visit the website. Go to daviesproject.org. You can donate securely. It's easy. And tell your friends about it. And here's another idea. If you're looking for a gift, you can make a gift in honor of a friend. And we'll write them a simple note saying thank you. You know, your support isn't just a donation. It's a lifeline for children. It's a lifeline for families who rely on the Davies Project for essential care. So thank you again for being here today. Thank you for opening your hearts, and thank you for making a difference. Have a good day.